Grand Rising or Grand Lying if it's nighttime. Today we're going to be looking at this book, Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents. It's by Isabel Wilkerson. Before we get to the book, I'm going to read a little bit from this book. I'm going to have the honor, the great honor, of being on a Zoom meeting with the author, Isabel herself, a sister who I just can't even, there's no words for this book coming at a time in my life like now. As you know, I've been doing videos and I've been, ever since the George Floyd incident, I was moved to, speak my piece. And it had been, you could say, incubating over a period of time. And there's something about George Floyd that, brought it to the fore. And I guess also, having, this pandemic, you heard me correctly, occur at this time. I have some words about the pandemic. I guess I'm an avid YouTuber, but I like to think I'm a YouTuber with an educated YouTuber, like an educated consumer. In other words, I'm not just buying everything that's out there, okay? So, I've been watching the protests that are going on around the world, and to my shock and awe, the protests that I see as being, for instance, if I were to protest, the people I would want to join would be the Londoners in Britain, the UK. At those protests, there is not a single person wearing a mask. It just speaks to their dedication and the message that they're sending in their protest. They're protesting all of it. And, I've gotten into arguments with friends who disagree with that. And it's just a way of looking at the whole picture, I guess. I understand there have been casualties. I understand that. But I also understand that there's a lot of exaggeration going on. Now, I'll just leave it at that. But I was very inspired by what I see going on in the UK. They took it straight to the Queen's Palace. And they're talking about their human rights and not being willing to part with those human rights. And the message is it's a clear message. Whereas when I, today, as of today, I just looked at some protesters in DC. Everybody's masked down, every person. To me, I think our protesters are protesting the symptoms of the problem. They're not protesting the disease. So, it's very fragmented, Whereas I think if you protest the root cause of the disease, then you're going to get somewhere. As long as we're protesting the symptoms, the message that the system gets is that, they're falling for that. Good. Good. Pay them no mind. That's what I feel they're doing. I don't think they've paid us any mind since the 60s. So that's that. I want to talk a little bit that's my thought on the protest. If you're interested, I believe the website is Ruptly, Ruptly. But that channel, they just show the protests everywhere. They show, and it's very unbiased. They're just showing the protest. There's no commentary. There's nothing of that sort. They're just letting you see what's happening. They're not putting a spin on it. There's no announcer or person out there with a microphone asking who you're going to vote for, like we have here. There's hope in the world. I hope it reaches America, okay? That's what I have to say about that. The next thing I want to touch upon very lightly is the garb. In my first video, I was bereft of any native or indigenous garb. But as you see, as time has progressed, I am choosing to wear the feathers and, put my little spin on the feathers. But what I want to say about that is that it's at this point in my evolution, I guess I could say it that way, my personal evolution. The feathers, the garb, I don't just wear it in the videos. I have walked out in public with my feathers in some way, shape, or form, whether I had it as an earring or whether I had it in my hair, with the headpiece. I want to express the importance of why, for me, it is important. As I've endeavored to do these videos, what is becoming more apparent to me is that a serious disenfranchisement had to take place in order for the powers that should not be to wield their authority. It's bad enough that they have us referring to ourselves as black. And let me tell you, this book, you're gonna question whether you want to continue to do that or not. This sister, I still can't believe this book is in my hand. I just ordered it Friday. It arrived Saturday. It's like the universe is working. Just Thursday, I was talking to Chief Kalanago. This is a brother who has been called to be a chief to those who are very new to the understanding that we are indigenous. I'm fairly new to this. Luckily, I had a mother and a maternal side that have always known themselves to be Indian. Of course, when you put West in front of the Indian, that puts some other connotation on it. As an adult now, the person I am today, I know now that Indian behind the West, that is an actual Indian. It's not something you just say because you're African and you're in the West. I take that label, if you want to call it that, much more seriously now. I know now that I am an American indigenous. The Indian part, I believe the reason why the West Indians were allowed to keep the Indian label is because of the Columbus story. It wouldn't make sense to have Columbus referring to Indians that he saw once you realize that he only came to the Caribbean. So when Columbus speaks of Indians, he wasn't talking about North America because Columbus was never on North America. He only came to the Caribbean. the whole Caribbean Sea. Now, he went to Hispaniola, which is now Haiti. But the truth of the matter is the whole Caribbean, Carib Indians are named after the people who inhabited those islands. They were known as Indians. When the colonizer came to America, to North America, how they laid claim to our land was through intermarriage or impregnating the indigenous female. Hence, I now call myself Indian. My mother would have been one of those females that the colonizer would have wanted to impregnate so that he can lay claim on her lands. What I'm trying to say is your indigenousness comes through your mother. My indigenousness comes through my mother. Now, my father was also Indian. It's just that it's not as, I don't think it's as clear cut. And of course, the North Americans didn't maintain their Indian designation due to, the colonization process. They were all called Negroes. One person made a video that said, he put it quite simply, and to be quite simple and frank about it, he's right. If you, on your birth certificate, anyone in your family who's called colored, Negro, black, even African American, that is the cue to let you know that you have been reclassified and you were an American Indian. Black is not a nationality, neither is Negro, neither is colored, and African American is just a more clever misnomer. So yeah, the Indians were not relegated to the West Indian or the Caribbean. Yes, Carib was a tribe of Indians. Hence the word Caribbean. They were Carib Indians. I didn't even know that until very recently. So yeah, I'm now wearing the garb as much as possible, and I'm doing so proudly as possible. When I walk down that street, this is what you see nowadays. So it's not a joke for me and it's not even about being cute. I feel like I have been denationalized, and I'm not happy about it. So now this is my way of showing the colonizer, I'm no longer your fool. I know who I am. I'm not your Negro. I'm not your colored. I'm not your black. And African American just doesn't even make sense. There is not one person in my family that I know to be from Africa. It's not that I don't want to claim Africa. It's that I want to claim the truth. That's what it is. That's what it is. I'm not anti-African. However, I am anti being called African if I am not African. That's what I'm against. I love Africa. I love Africans. Never had any problems. I once thought that I was African, but now I know better. So I think I touched on my little commentary. I think I'm done off my soapbox for now, but now I would like to read from this book. This is another book that is crucial. This might be more important than any of the books I've sat here and held before this camera. Because this book, this woman, and I didn't even finish reading it. I have the audio book and I'm listening to it. I want it to get in my head. I don't want to, be fighting sleep or whatever. But okay, so let's start to read a little bit from this book. I'm going to start with the liner notes, and then I'm going to read a little bit from one of the chapters. Okay. The Chicago Tribune says, this book, it should be at the top of every American's reading list. As we go about our daily lives, caste is the wordless usher in a darkened theater. Flashlight cast down in the aisles, guiding us to our assigned seats for a performance. The hierarchy of caste is not about feelings or morality. It is about power. Which groups have it and which do not. I want to read that again. As we go about our daily lives, caste is the wordless usher in a darkened theater, flashlight cast down in the aisles, guiding us to our assigned seats for performance. The hierarchy of caste is not about feelings or morality. It is about power. Which groups have it and which do not. The Pulitzer Prize-winning best-selling author of The Warmth of Other Suns examines the unspoken caste system that has shaped America and shows how our lives today are still defined by a hierarchy of human divisions. In this brilliant book, Isabel Wilkerson gives us a masterful portrait of an unseen phenomenon in America as she explores through an immersive, deeply researched narrative and stories about real people how America today and throughout its history has been shaped by a hidden caste system, a rigid hierarchy of human rankings. Beyond race, class, or other factors, a powerful caste system influences people's lives and behavior and the nation's fate. Linking the caste systems of America, India, and Nazi Germany, Wilkerson explores 8 pillars that underlie caste systems across civilizations, including divine will, bloodlines, that we could be referring to the King James that I spoke about. You know, divine, he had a divine right of kings. I just want to put that in there. I'm sorry. Wilkerson explores 8 pillars that underlie caste systems across civilizations, including divine will, bloodlines, and stigma. Using riveting stories about people, including Martin Luther King Jr., baseball Satchel Paige, a single father and his toddler son, and Wilkerson herself, she shows the ways that the insidious undertow of caste is experienced every day. She documents how the Nazis studied the racial systems in America to plan their outcasting of the Jews. She discusses why the cruel logic of caste requires a bottom rung, that would be us, for those in the middle to measure themselves against. She writes about the surprising health cost of caste in depression and life expectancy, and the effects of this hierarchy on our culture and politics. Finally, she points forward to ways America can move beyond the artificial and destructive separations of human divisions towards hope in our common humanity. Okay, I think that's beautifully written, original and revealing. Caste, the origins of our discontents, is an eye-opening story of people and hierarchy, and a re-examination of what lies under the surface of American life today. I'm going to read her bio. Isabel Wilkerson, winner of the Pulitzer Prize and the National Humanities Medal, she deserves it, is the author of the critically acclaimed New York Times bestseller, The Warmth of Other Suns. This, her debut work, won the National Book Critics Circle Award for nonfiction. This is very real. And was named to Time's 10 best nonfiction books of, the 2010s. And the New York Times the New York Times list of the best nonfiction of all time. Wilkerson has taught at Princeton University, Ivy League, baby, Emory, and Boston universities, and has lectured at more than 200 colleges and universities across the United States and Europe and Asia. You can find her at isabelwilkerson.com. I'm still in awe that I find this book at this time, and I know that I am meant to speak on it because it relates so much to the videos that I've been doing. It's just that I spoke about black being, a status and not a race. In a caste system, there's no such thing as black power. I mean, we can say that if we want to, but if we disregard the construct that we're under, we're doing ourselves a disservice because we're calling ourselves by the same designation that the caste system has already given us at birth. So black, the last thing that black is empowering when you're in a caste system. I'm going to read some excerpts from this book to let you see exactly what that means. I'm going to start here because it just goes right in. I believe this is chapter 2. And I'm not going to the beginning of chapter 2, but I'm starting from like the second sub-chapter of it. Okay. Throughout human history, 3 caste systems have stood out. The tragically accelerated, chilling, and officially vanquished caste system of Nazi Germany, the lingering millennia-long caste system of India, and the shape-shifting, unspoken race-based caste pyramid in the United States. Each version relied on stigmatizing those deemed inferior to justify the dehumanization necessary to keep the lowest ranked people at the bottom and to rationalize the protocols of enforcement. A caste system endures because it is often justified as divine will, originating from sacred text. This is why I bang on the Bible. Or the presumed laws of nature, reinforced throughout the culture and passed down through the generations. As we go about our daily lives, caste is the wordless usher in a darkened theater, flashlight cast down in the aisles, guiding us to our assigned seats for a performance. The hierarchy of caste is not about feelings or morality. It is about power. Which groups have it and which do not. It is about resources. Which caste is seen as worthy of them and which are not. Who gets to acquire and control them and who does not. It is about respect, authority, and assumptions of competence. Who is accorded these and who is not. As a means of assigning value to entire swaths of humankind, caste guides each of us often beyond the reaches of our awareness. It embeds into our bones an unconscious ranking of human characteristics and sets forth the rules, expectations, and stereotypes that have been used to justify brutalities against entire groups within our species. Brutalities such as police brutality. See, we would never guess that the reason why police get away with killing black men is because of a system. We thought it was racism. It's much deeper, much more ancient, and much bigger than that. It's caste. It's a caste system. I want to say that I never said the word in my videos, but I didn't have the. I felt like I didn't have the authority to call it that, and I didn't know enough about caste. But this woman, already in the second chapter, she's telling you the history of caste. Apparently, it started. It seems to have started in India, and to our shock and awe, Hitler learned how to maneuver in his caste system by learning from America. How about that? That blew my mind. America is where he got his better techniques from, because we had, I believe when I read what it was saying is that we had found a way to, in the marriage laws, what do they call it, misogyny laws, the separating through, you can't intermarry interracially. I forgot the word. But anyway, he was applauding America because they had apparently accomplished what he was trying to accomplish. So again, let me start again. In the American caste system, the signal of rank is what we call race. The division of humans on the basis of their appearance. Don't we know that already? She's just telling us what it is. In America, race is the primary tool and the visible decoy, the front man for caste. Race does the heavy lifting for a caste system that demands a means of human division. If we have been trained to see humans in the language of race, then caste is the underlying grammar that we encode as children, as when learning our mother tongue. Caste, like grammar, becomes the invisible guide, not only to how we speak, but to how we process information, the autonomic calculations that figure into a sentence without our having to think about it. Many of us have never taken a class in grammar, yet we know in our bones that a transitive verb takes an object, that a subject needs a predicate. We know without thinking the difference between third person singular and third person plural. We may mention race referring to people as black or white or Latino or Asian or indigenous, when what lies beneath each label is a centuries of history and assigning of assumptions and values to physical features in a structure of human hierarchy. What people look like, or rather the race they have been assigned, or are perceived to belong to is the visible cue to their caste. It is the historic flashcard to the public of how they are to be treated, where they are expected to live, what kinds of positions they are expected to hold, whether they belong in this section of town, remember I was talking about town, or that seat in a boardroom, whether they should be expected to speak with authority on this or that subject, whether they will be administered pain relief in a hospital, whether their neighborhood is likely to adjoin a toxic waste site or to have contaminated water flowing from their taps, whether they are more or less likely to survive childbirth in the most advanced nation in the world, whether they may be shot by authorities with impunity. That sentence floored me when I was listening to my audiobook of this. And as I'm reading it, I'm for some reason I feel like I want to stop right there, and I want to read it. I want to read it again. Actually, I want to read that whole section again. What people look like, or rather the race they have been assigned or are perceived to belong to, is the visible cue to their caste. It is the historic flashcard to the public of how they are to be treated, where they are expected to live, what kinds of positions they are expected to hold, whether they belong in this section of town or that seat in a boardroom, whether they should be expected to speak with authority on this or that subject, whether they will be administered pain relief in a hospital, whether their neighborhood is likely to adjoin a toxic waste site or to have contaminated water flowing from their taps, whether they are more or less likely to survive childbirth in the most advanced nation in the world, whether they may be shot by authorities with impunity. I'll just finish out the chapter. But that right there, that really did it for me. It puts everything in context. We're not dealing with racism. We're dealing with a caste system. Okay. We know that the letters of the alphabet are neutral and meaningless until they are combined to make a word which itself has no significance until it is inserted into a sentence and interpreted by those who speak it. Can I stop there for a minute? Because what occurred to me as I'm reading that is how we handle the word black. There's a young man on YouTube who I have a large degree of respect for. I even posted one of his videos on my Facebook wall. I'm not going to name him right now because I do have a respect for him. I think he has the energy. I want to say his name because he's calling on our Egyptian heritage, and I have a little something to say about our Egyptian heritage. But this young man, in one of his videos, he made a point that I couldn't dismiss as much as I wanted to with the knowledge that I now have. He said, if black, the word black, is, how did he put it? If it means I'm paraphrasing. If it means something bad and negative to, quote unquote, the white power system, I might tattoo that bleep, bleep, bleep on my bleep, bleep, bleep forehead. I don't know why I'm editing myself. This is not a G-rated video. I should go for it and say what the boy said. Because it made you laugh. He had a point. It's like, yeah, he's right. If they find it a bad thing, then it must be a good thing. Unfortunately, I rolled with that for a minute until this system made it official. No, we don't want to tattoo the word black, Negro, colored, African American on our forehead. We don't want to do that. Because we are that would be taking on, see, she just said it. We know that the letters of the alphabet are neutral and meaningless. Black could be neutral and meaningless if it weren't for the system we're in. Until they are combined to make a word, which itself has no significance until it is inserted into a sentence and interpreted by those who speak it. In the same way that black and white were applied to people who were literally neither, but rather gradations of brown and beige and ivory, the caste system sets people at poles from one another and attaches meaning to the extremes and to the gradations in between, and then reinforces those meanings, replicates them in the roles each caste was and is assigned and permitted or required to perform. It attaches meaning to the extremes and to the gradations in between, and then reinforces those meanings, replicates them in the roles each caste was and is assigned and permitted or required to perform. Each role that we're looked to perform. Caste and race are neither synonymous or mutually exclusive. They can and do coexist in the same culture and serve to reinforce each other. Race in the United States is the visible agent of the unseen force of caste. Caste is the bones, race is the skin. Wonderfully put. Wonderful metaphor. Race is what we can see, the physical traits that have been given arbitrary meaning and become shorthand for who a person is. Caste is the powerful infrastructure that holds each group in its place. Caste is fixed and rigid. Race is fluid and superficial, subject to periodic redefinition to meet the needs of the dominant caste in what is now the United States. What she means by that's what the misnomers come in. Black, Negro, colored, African American. That's what she's talking about. Race is fluid. It can be subject to periodic redefinition to meet the needs of the dominant caste in what is now the United States. While the requirements to qualify as white have changed over the centuries, the fact of a dominant caste has remained constant from its inception. Whoever fit the definition of white at whatever point in history was granted the legal rights and privileges of the dominant caste. Perhaps more critically and tragically, at the other end of the ladder, the subordinated caste, too, has been fixed from the beginning as the psychological floor beneath which all other castes cannot fall. Thus, we are all born into a silent war game, centuries old, enlisted in teams not of our own choosing. The side to which we are assigned in the American system of categorizing people is proclaimed by the team uniform that each caste wears, signaling our presumed worth and potential. That any of us manages to create abiding connections across these manufactured divisions is a testament to the beauty of the human spirit. The use of inherited physical characteristics to differentiate inner abilities and group value may be the cleverest way that a culture has ever devised to manage and maintain a caste system. As a social and human division, wrote the political scientist Andrew Hacker, of the use of physical traits to form human categories, it surpasses all others, even gender, in intensity and subordination. That was an excerpt from chapter 2 of this excellent book, The Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents. In the next chapter, I would like to read from it because she talks about Martin Luther King visiting India. I'm going to paraphrase what chapter 3 begins with. So he's visiting India, and upon his arrival, at some point, he's called an untouchable. An untouchable in India is what black is in America. They're the lowest class. So she writes that Martin was stunned and a bit insulted. I don't think it was her exact words. For them to just automatically call him their lowest class. But then when he sat with it, he began to realize, she writes, that is exactly what he is in America. I believe this is where Martin began to understand that America too, not unlike India where he was visiting, also has a caste system. I'm pretty sure that it is after his visit to India where his speeches started to change. She actually quotes one of his speeches. Let me see if I can find that quote. I'm not going to read the chapter, but I really want to see. I'll read part of it. This is the part where he realized he's also in a caste, system. Let me see. He had not expected the term to be applied to him. He was, in fact, put off by it at first. He had flown in from another continent, had dined with the prime minister. He did not see the connection, did not see what the Indian caste system had to do directly with him, did not immediately see why the lowest caste people in India would view him, an American Negro and a distinguished visitor, as low caste, like themselves. See him as one of them. For a moment, he wrote, I was a bit shocked and peeved that I would be referred to as an untouchable. Then he began to think about the reality of the lives of the people he was fighting for. 20 million people consigned to the lowest rank in America for centuries. And this is the quote from his speech. Still smothering in an airtight cage of poverty, quarantined in isolated ghettos, exiled in their own country. And he said to himself, yes, I am an untouchable, and every Negro in the United States of America is an untouchable. In that moment, he realized that the land of the free had imposed a caste system, not unlike the caste system of India, and that he had lived under that system all of his life. It was what lay beneath the forces he was fighting in America. If I don't stop now, I'm just going to keep on reading. But I just want to give you a taste. If you're like me and you're not too fond of reading, or you don't do it very often, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I showed you all the books that I've actually read. Okay, so, but if you're just someone who prefers not to read, or this book is available as an audiobook, and I am listening to it now. I'm not a fast reader. That's part of the reason. Because I want to be ready when this distinguished woman, I'll show you her picture again, Isabel Wilkerson. I'll leave it there so you can read for yourself if you can see what it says, her bio. You can pause it. Okay. I can listen to her book faster than I would read it. That's just the kind of reader I am. I'm very, I reread and stuff like that. So I want to have a degree. I should be finished listening to her audiobook by the time she comes to speak at my job. I knew my firm was a good firm, but now my firm has just become a great firm. I work for lawyers. In a caste system, I don't know, how do I say this? Well, suffice to say, I didn't think corporate lawyers would want to hear what a woman like Isabel would have to say about a hidden caste system in America. I was shocked. My law firm the law firm I work for, they have really shocked me. And I have to say, at this point, it is really nice to feel honored to work for a firm that will recognize a sister's book, reading the system that we are all in as a caste system. That's what it is. And I say that emphatically. I've been doing these videos, knocking myself out, dealing with race, or talking about race. I took it back to King James. When it's just a word. It's just one word. You don't even have to go through all of that, of everything I went through. This is what it is. We're in a caste system. That's why we're treated the way we're treated. Addressing race is not going to do it. It's bigger than race. It's frightening what America has done. How it brazenly calls itself the land of the free? What? How we can stand in judgment of Hitler when he learned from the best. This is America, people. This is our country. We have to take it back. America has become worse than a Germany. Worse than an India. Because America has lied to itself and to its, I don't even want to use that word citizen. They done took that word and made it something horrible. You know, to the people of America. It has lied, bold-faced, to us for centuries. Did you know you were in a caste system? This is not a joke. But like I said in my last video, knowing the problem is just the means to the solution. I didn't get to that part of her book. But I know that when I'm in that Zoom meeting with her, besides commending her, complimenting her, and giving my law firm its props for even having her, I will hopefully get to share my thoughts with her and to get her to maybe speak to the solution. It actually hurts. It actually hurts. Before I became a YouTuber, I was a singer. And I feel like I've had to just put all of that somewhere on the back burner. I don't know exactly, you know, where I'm going at the moment. I just know that it is a place of truth, and it is the highest truth that I think I can endeavor on. So I think I covered everything. I'm still going through the book. I'm still doing my audio book, but I'm reading along because I also have it as an ebook. And so, whew. I'm gonna. I think I'm going to close here. I'm. It's just about an hour. I'm going to close. Yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts going on right now. I'm going to wish you blessings and health, wealth, prosperity, land, love, all the good things. I guess I'm just feeling, my way, and I feel something is moving toward the positive. I'm very saddened that this could happen in America. I feel we have been so severely deceived, and because it's gone on for so long, it makes me wonder just about the ramifications of that. So we are always told, that you have to you fight for your liberties and your freedoms. But that's a fight that occurs when all the cards are on the table. What has happened in America is we've been fighting or not fighting because we cannot see an invisible intruder. I am at once saddened that we somehow didn't see when our door was open. Even an invisible intruder has to come through your door. There's a breach, and somehow we missed the breach. We must have saw something, and we must have ignored it. And then an elephant was in the room that we couldn't see. It was the caste system. And we've been fighting something that is showing us the side effects to the disease, but we have never dealt with the actual disease. We march because of police brutality, and we're amazed that it continues to happen. This is why it continues to happen. Because we're in this. This is what's behind it all. I love when she says a black man is killed without immunity. That's exactly. And the funny thing is, the country is trying so hard to mimic justice. They got laid off. They got suspended. They need to go to jail. But in a caste system, the officer was only doing what he had a right to do. The thing that still, I don't know if even Isabel, Miss Wilkerson, she already did us a huge favor with that book. I guess my next thought is, even in a caste system, what would be the point of killing them? I mean, they're already doomed to your ill placement lowest of the low, why do you have to also kill them? What is being gotten off by killing or showing these killings? So what that tells me is that the system is also working overtime to keep us at a low vibration, because obviously if we keep seeing images of ourselves being killed and nothing is done about it, that has to do something to the psyche. So that's what I meant in my last video. I said it's an active oppression. It's not just keep them at the bottom and let's go about our daily lives. It's about keep them at the bottom and then fuck with them. There, I did an F-bomb, sorry. So it still leads me back to what is it about us? Well, I know it. And that's what I want. I did say, I'm sorry, I did have that break where I didn't know what I was going to say. Sorry about that. I might have to edit it out. I don't know. But I like to keep it real. If I was in a fog, that's where I was. I was in a fog, okay? For that several minutes. What I was going to say was when I spoke about the person that, I didn't mention his name, the young man who, in his video, he said, if black is negating or negative to the white power structure, then I might tattoo that blah 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 on my forehead. But I want to say, which is might be a giveaway, but he in his namesake, he's given reverence to our Egyptian heritage. And I want to say that this is Quetzalcoatl, and I spoke of him in an earlier video. You can't really see him, and I don't want to get you all in my nose, but there, yeah, I got gray hairs in my nose. Let's not go there. Let's not go there today. At times it looks like booger, but it's gray hair. This is Quetzalcoatl. It's you can't really see him. It's not the best. You'll have to, but that's Quetzalcoatl. What I want to say about Quetzalcoatl, that is the Egyptian deity known as Thoth, or Hermes, or Tahuti, or what's his other name? Ningazita. How can I forget it? It's my favorite. I spoke about Ningazita in one of my earlier videos, saying how much more ethnic can you get than Ningazita. So this is the deity that links us to ancient Egypt. He is an Egyptian deity. He was the patron deity of Egypt before Amun-Ra. And what happened is, this is coming from the Sumerian text. There's a book I mentioned called The Lost Book of Enki. Why are you talking about, who is that and why are you talking about him? I'm talking about that because in your Bible, they reference to the Anunnaki. They just don't tell you who they are. They call them the Elohim. So one of them is Tahuti, Ningazita. I asked you in one of my videos to read a book that is credited to him. It's called The Emerald Tablets. In that book, you will have your introduction to this wonderful deity. Now, I'm not doing religion like exactly how I did when I was a Christian. However, I do understand there are remnants of that. I fear that religion is the opiate of the masses, so I don't want to do religion like I did it when I was a Christian. The reason why I am no longer a Christian has to do a lot with a book I referred you to. Do I have it here? This book. Because this man showed me the history of how they created this image based on this image. So once you go through the history, you cannot argue with it. And I'm so grateful to Walter Williams. I didn't have a audio book. I did. I read this book. So anyway, so I realized he made me understand that the characteristics that were assigned to Jesus Christ had already existed in another deity. From what I understand, and my understanding, I believe Christ was formulated also from this Nengazita. Like, it's a combination that he was crafted from, Jesus. But from what I understand of this character, he seems to really encompass the best of those. You have to read the Emerald Tablets to know how you are to be respected, because the book it will let you see how you are honored as a being of divine origins. The Bible is basically saying you're a sinner, that you were born a sinner. No. When you read the Emerald Tablets, you'll realize that you were made from the divine. You need a book that talks about that. That's what you need to be lifted up. I know it's hard to hear when I say it, but it bears repeating. Jesus Christ is a death deity. He is not a life and living deity. And I say that because he doesn't do what Isaac says we shall do without a Savior. Isaac is speaking to the predicament that we're in as slaves to Jacob. And in my last video, I said it was a brutal slavery. Well, it started out as a very brutal slavery, and I realize it still is. If our men are being killed in the street and it's televised and no one does anything, that's brutality. It's a brutal slavery. At first I said, why did I say it's a brutal slavery? People, and then the Spirit told me, because it still is. Just because you're not getting buck whipped by Massa, the brutality is still there. It's even worse now because it's being televised for all to see. When Massa did it, at least it didn't come into your space, into your mental Rolodex. But now your slavery is broadcast for all to see. That ain't nobody gonna go to jail, ain't nobody gonna pay for that life. It was a mistake. Poof, he's gone. Deal with it. Sorry, he was suspended without pay. Yeah, well, that person has been suspended eternally. The victim, that is. The victim of the brutality. His suspension is forever until he's reborn as someone else. It gets a. I just want to comment on India's caste system. I don't want to laugh, but they got them people thinking that you have to stay in your low caste, your low level, because your karma puts you there. And if you stay in there, maybe you'll elevate. You know, if you're good as a good slave and a good low class, maybe then you can elevate to your next. So in a way, they got them. You know, I know America is bad. I'm not saying we're not one of the worst, but man, what they're saying is that the people in India didn't typically fight it off as Americans did, like the Black Panthers. They said they had their version of black was Dalit. I think the word was Dalit in her book, she says. So they had, in India, we had the Black Panthers. They called theirs the Dalit Panthers, because they were inspired by us. We were fighting. Even though we didn't see the elephant, we were fighting. We were fighting one of the tentacles of the beast, which is racism. But the actual body of the beast is caste. It's a caste system. So I got all off course. Forgive me. But yes, I was just trying to show that in all the research that I'm doing, I ordered another book, and actually it came. This is the book, Discovery of the Origins of the Name of America. I know I'm booking you out right now, and I'm going to slow down because I didn't even really touch this one yet. But what made me buy it was that I saw someone reading in a YouTube video. Someone was reading from this book. In that book, they broke it down to show us that America, fasten your seatbelts. I know a lot of people are still in Christianity, and I know that this is a big reason why my videos are not popular, because I'm on the down low, and maybe not so on the down low. I'm really not advocating for Christianity, because similarly to India's caste system, I believe our religion is doing what their reincarnation religion is doing. So they are being told that if they're good slaves in this life and don't disobey, then maybe karma, they believe in reincarnation. So in the next life, they'll rise up a rung. This apparently in India, it's not bipolar. It is, they have several rungs in the ladder of the hierarchy ladder of their caste system. I think she said they have at least, did she say 4? More than 2. It's like they have like a whole tier system. We only have black and white. At least they kept it simple, right? She also said, I just want to throw in, she also says that before quote unquote whites moved to America, they were not white. In fact, she said a lot of times the Caucasians that lived in other countries were the heathen of their country, but when they come here, based on what they look like, they became white. In their country, they were discriminated against for other reasons, something like that. But once they get here, they fall in line with our caste system, and now they poo-poo on the ones who are below them, which of course is always us. Why us all the time? Well, the message in my videos is because this is our land. We are a key hindrance, a key factor in the stakes of America. It was taken from the indigenous, us. They're telling us we came from Africa. 99.99% of us were already here. That's how we knew how to work the cotton fields and the tobacco fields. Anyway, they dumped some of their people here because that was the hijack. So they could later say that, oh, it was mostly these people that we dumped here that were here. No, it was mostly American, native, indigenous. There's another word for it. I got autochthonous. I gotta learn how to pronounce that word. So yeah, similar to the Indian religious system, the Christian system works in the way it works in a caste system is that we're basically told, like I've been saying, that we get to live the wonderful life after we die. At least in India, they get reincarnated. We go over and that's it. We get our birthright after we die. So that's why I cannot be a Christian, because I understand that it's slave master's religion, and the way it's being interpreted is it true Christianity. I'll give you this. From what I learned about Christianity, true Christianity, what it does is it directs you inward. Excuse me. So you are looking for the Christ within, because there's a Christ within. I just said we are the way we're being spoken to through the Emerald Tablets is we're being talked to as if there's a divineness about us, not a sinfulness. So true Christianity directs you inward, whereas false Christianity has you looking to the skies for whence your helps come. It's not coming that way. It's not coming that way. It comes as we enlighten ourselves. And to enlighten ourselves, we have to question. Divinity had to do with a knowledge of self, knowing thyself. So that is the kind of Christianity that I'm into now. I'm not looking for Jesus. I am the Jesus character. And I'm very serious about that. I'm not even joking. We have Christ in us. Our nature, the spirit that dwells in us, comes from the Most High. He didn't have one son. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but give yourselves a break. Seriously though, there's no reason to think that the religion that came with your slavery is going to do anything to elevate you. Okay, so I think I'm done here. We're going on an hour and 20 minutes. It'd be nice to make it a full hour and a half, but I think I'm done. So, yeah. I'll just finish the thought about Quetzalcoatl. The day America, this book, basically what it's saying is that the name of America actually comes from Quetzalcoatl. He had, I'll admit, he had a few names because, That's how deities do that. Like they have, even Yahweh, that deity has more than one name. So did Quetzalcoatl. So Quetzalcoatl is he's represented as a dragon, a plumed serpent. And I was asking viewers if they might look at how demonization works. Because I was saying that Esau, it seems to begin with Esau, who is demonized just like we are demonized. And in my last video, what I said was, it's very odd that Esau would be demonized because he was the first fruits. All throughout the Bible, the first, whether it be the first harvest, the firstborn of your livestock, your cattle, your sheep, your vegetables, your fruits, the first, nowhere in the Bible is any first condemned and hated like Esau. That is why I know that scripture has been tampered with, because it's taking a first fruit, Esau being the firstborn. A first fruit is always unto God. But Esau comes around, and because he had that birthright that he gave to his brother, though he did not give the blessing to his brother, that was stolen, and the thief has not yet been held accountable for. Who's the thief today? The thief today would not be your common Caucasian Jew. The thief today is your Zionistic Hebrew. I'm going to use Hebrew because I just feel like it's less of a one of those, it's less than a loaded term than the other term, the J word. Although I'm speaking nothing but, I think I'm being rather respectful when I say that your common everyday Caucasian Hebrew is not your enemy. It is the ones that are known as Zionists. In my last video, I said that your common Caucasian Hebrew is dealing with the birthright, which was given fair and square. So let them have that. That's why we have Caucasian Hebrews, because Esau gave them that birthright. However, Esau did not give the blessing, the spoken word of Isaac over Jacob that made him Lord over everyone. Esau didn't give that. That was stolen, and again, the thief has not yet been held accountable. Who's the thief? That would be your Zionistic Caucasian Hebrews at the top. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Greed, in a word, greed. According to the Bible, now the birthright was one thing. The blessing, which was stolen, would give the one being blessed basically access to all the world's riches. So there's someone sitting in the back, rubbing their little greedy hands together in Zionistic glory, just looking for that payday, an eternal payday. They want to go up in everybody's country and just extract all the riches they can possibly find and use the caste system. There's no way that this caste system exists without a nobility. As she said, it had something to do with bloodlines. We read in her book, she spoke about bloodlines. So the Zionistic mindset is going by that. But our scriptures are telling us again, that was someone else's legacy that was taken. The birth, the blessing. And so now that is why they want to show how valueless a black man's life is. Obviously, that is the one who the birthright belongs to. I mean, I know it sounds like I'm just speaking for my health, but when I put all the pieces of the puzzle together, I would say that obviously a caste system is meant to demonize those who are of an importance. You want to keep the ones who the legacy actually belongs to at the bottom. So the ones who it was given to and then they went a step further and stole position, so they're at the top. If a legacy wasn't stolen, I don't believe there would be that much brutality involved. I always say if Esau got his, was the keeper of that birthright, there would be no brutality at all, because it was supposed to go to him. The shoe fit, and he had nothing to prove. When the birthright is yours, you don't have to fight. You don't have to feel like you have to fight, because it's yours. Who do you need to fight? I mean, you might have someone who wants to challenge your position. You might have to fight that person, but in the end, the birthright is yours. And I believe that is why it kind of speaks for itself. You colonize a nation, so you put the heirs, that's their land, right? So of course it would be to your best interest to keep the ones who it actually belongs to at the bottom. So the colonizers come here, you had your land, it was yours, always yours, it's your birthright. A colonizer comes with the idea that his bloodline gets to take all birthrights. He's Zionistic in his viewpoints. And so what he has to do is come to your land and make you the bottom. I believe that's what must happen in India. That would be the only reason to have a bottom, is what I'm trying to say. Because you need to hold those people down so they don't rear up and say, give me my land back. Get the freak out of here. This is mine. I don't care what your deity said. My deity never told me nothing about that, for instance. So now we're at the 1:30 mark, just about. I was watching a video, one of the protests, and a brother got up there, and even though I don't know all the words to the song he sang, it went a little something like this. I was born by the river in a little tent, just like the river. I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. Thank you for watching. I would love to sing more. I just don't know the words. God bless you. I said this before and I say it again. Bless you. Wealth, health, your land, love, sovereignty, and liberty, and the breaking off of the yoke, the Zionistic yoke. It's not the everyday average Caucasian Hebrew who's our enemy. It's those at the top of the caste system. It's political. It's royal. And I would be remiss not to remind us that King James, the first colonizer of America, was black, so-called. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you for watching.